Come on, get out of the way. Ah, you idiot. Ah. Yeah. You ever felt like that? You ever felt angry, annoyed, frustrated? Who am I kidding, right? We all have. We've all been there. We've all been frustrated with something that somebody does at times. We've all been angry about what somebody said or whatever it might be. And actually this kind of hits home pretty close to me because I've been a little annoyed with some stuff going on at work and just been a little bit frustrated about some things. And it's interesting. There's a guy by the name of David. He was a king in Israel many, many years ago. And I think it's interesting as far as just something that he says that if you just take note to his words, they're really, really pretty wise. Here, let me just pull over for just a second and I'll share it with you. But David is this king, longtime king, and David had plenty of opportunities, plenty of reasons to be frustrated at times, and David kind of shares these words and actually Psalm 37 verse 8. Here's what David writes. Here's what David says. He says, "Stop being angry. Turn from your rage. Do not lose your temper. It only leads to harm." Isn't that true? Think about that for a moment. He says, stop being angry. Turn from your rage. Don't lose your temper. It only leads to harm. That's pretty wise words. Like that's on point, isn't it? Isn't it true that when we get frustrated that we end up hurting ourselves? I think back when I was a teenager, and whenever I got annoyed, whenever I got frustrated, whenever I got angry about something, I would slam doors and I would punch walls. I would hurt myself. I would punch a wall, hurt myself because of my anger. Or you maybe you have kids, or maybe you've seen this with some kids, maybe you've seen it on YouTube, but some kids get in such a rage because they lost a round in a game that they throw the controller at the screen, or they bust their controller, or they smack their hand on the table, or whatever it is, all because they're upset, all because they're annoyed. We hurt ourselves, people get angry at work, because of something that was done or something that was said. And they regret afterwards getting so angry and saying something, regretting what they did or regretting what they said in retaliation. They regret it because then they lost their job. They harm themselves. We harm ourselves. David he's on point here. Some people turn to alcohol and drugs, unfortunately, to deal with their frustration, to deal with their annoyance, or to deal with their anger. Can you see how wise David's words are? He's on point. Like, whenever we get angry and whenever we get frustrated or whenever we're annoyed about something, if it is left unchecked, then we're gonna bring harm not only to ourselves, but we're also gonna bring harm to people that are around us. And so this is something that I want to just kind of spend a couple minutes on and just talk about for just a moment. And usually, if you think about it, our frustration, our anger, our annoyance, it usually involves other people, doesn't it? It usually involves another person, another person, something that they said, something that they did. And I want you to notice something else that David writes here. In Psalm 37, verse 7. So before he even says, hey, don't get angry, don't get upset, don't lose your temper, it only leads to harm. Before he even says that, he says this: don't worry about evil people who prosper. And more importantly, I want to hit home on this. He says, or fret about their wicked schemes. He says, don't even worry about it. Don't even fret. Don't lose it. Don't be so concerned about people's schemes, about their wicked schemes. In other words, people that say something because they're trying to get a rise out of you. People that do something because they are trying to hurt you. They're trying to get over on you. They're trying to make you look bad so that they get the promotion, or so that they move up in the position in the company, or whatever it might be. People that are just plotting and planning and scheming, and they're trying to hurt you in some way. David says this. He says, don't even worry about it. Don't even fret about it. Don't even get so concerned about it. Don't even let it bother you. So it's like, I'm thinking, okay, so don't worry, because it's only going to lead to anger, which leads to you and I getting hurt, right? I mean, think about it. If I worry about something, somebody, something that they said, something that they do, then, all I'm going to do is get upset about it. And if that is left unchecked, in other words, Paul, he's an apostle that writes most of the New Testament, again, many, many years ago. And Paul writes these words. He says, be angry, but don't sin. So anger in and of itself, frustration, being annoyed, it's not wrong. It's not bad. But if it's left unchecked, that's where it hurts us. That's where it can harm our lives, and that's where it can harm people around us. And so David would say, hey, you know what? Don't fret about it. Yeah, you're angry. I get it. Don't even fret about it. Don't even worry about it. There's another way to deal with your anger. There's another way for me to deal with my anger, instead of punching walls and slamming doors or screaming, getting in a rage and rage quitting a game or whatever it might be. There's a better way to deal with it. And this is what David talks about here. So what do we do? What do we do? Okay, David says, hey, don't lose your temper, don't get angry, don't get upset. In fact, don't even worry about, people trying to hurt you, doing something, saying something that they're trying to get a rise out of you, try to get you angry and that sort of thing. David says, don't even worry. But before David even makes both of those statements that we just read a few moments ago, I want you to notice what he writes, or what he says. Again, Psalm 37, verse 7. He says, be still in the presence of the Lord. Another translation says, rest in the Lord. Rest. Take your rest in the Lord. Or be still in the presence of the Lord. Did you know that God's presence is not just in what we would think of as the holy places? That God's presence is everywhere, that God's presence is not just in churches, that God's presence is in stores, in restaurants, in shopping malls, on the streets, in homes, that God's presence is everywhere. And so David says, be still in the presence of the Lord. He says, rest in the presence of the Lord. This word, or another meaning for it, is to keep silent, or it actually means to be dumb. Like to be dumb. Have you ever said something to somebody and it just went over their head and they just have that dumb look on their face? Like they're just dumbfounded, right? This is what this word is talking about. It's not that you are actually dumb, but it's just saying, play dumb. Play dumb. Because if you play dumb in God's presence, that's actually one of the wisest things that you can do, to play dumb in God's presence, because it gives God the opportunity to move in your life, and it gives it gives you the opportunity to hear the wise action that God wants you to take. Again, notice that David says, be still in the presence of the Lord and wait patiently. So two things: be still and wait patiently for him to act. See, if we'll be still and we'll wait patiently, instead of getting upset and getting annoyed and getting frustrated and wanting to do something we're going to regret, we're going to miss out on how God is going to act on our behalf. And when God acts on your behalf, when God acts on my behalf, we're not going to be harmed. Instead, we're going to be benefited. So next time someone says or does something that can potentially get you angry, play dumb. Let's just play dumb and wait for God to act. He can deal with people's stupidity, their idiocy, their rude behavior, and meanness a whole lot better than we can. and we won't get hurt in the process. So just another word, just another message I just want to encourage and challenge us with. So have an awesome week. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.